This year, we celebrate 250 years since the Declaration of Independence. Have you ever wondered in the course of our nation's history how many Latter-day Saints have played a significant part in serving our nation? Announcing the Spirit of 76, Latter-day Saints who shaped America, a new book written by Susan Easton Black and others, available at historyofthesaints.org.
I guess the message that I see is that the people, Latter-day Saints, who had really, done something where they were remembered in the United States for what they had done, they always took the time to think of others and want to make this country great.
The prophets have spoken for a long time about the Constitution of the United States hanging by a thread, and that the elders of Israel would step forward and save it. Well, could it be that such has already been happening? This History of the Saints special presentation is about 6 Latter-day Saints who have made a significant difference in American history.
Mary Jane Woodger and Ken Alford, and the three of us got together and said, we are coming on to the 250th year of the United States. And all over the United States are going to be celebrating the Revolutionary War, the Declaration of Independence, the excitement, the spirit of America. And not only will people be celebrating it, but various churches will be writing to feature people in their church that have helped to do wonderful things to bless our country. And so the three of us thought, well, why don't we just kind of divide this up? We'll do 76 individuals that we think have done amazing things to help our country. Some of them, they did it in the political realm. Others, you'd say it's their talents in art. Others in music, some in writing, some in sports, and some as beauty contestants. And so we took various people with various talents, and we actually think we put together a book that people will really like, because it's people that didn't quit.
I wanted to look at those elders in Zion and those sisters in Zion and see, were there Latter-day Saints who have saved the Constitution, who have answered that prophecy that Joseph Smith gave so long ago? And so as we researched and found people who had made such a difference, not just in the church, but in America, and in honoring those principles of the Constitution, I was just amazed. And we had many people that you wouldn't consider.
Ettie Lee was born in 1885 and raised in Luna, New Mexico. Her life was one of service. But Susan shares this telling story when Ettie was 17 and working as a school teacher.
She decides that she'll throw a Christmas party, and she invites the Board of Trustees and others to come, as well as her young students. And while the party is going on, suddenly coming into the party will be a young boy named Charles. And friends come running to her and say, "Miss Lee, Charles is here." And she says, "Oh, that's great." But suddenly the wife of one of the trustees says, "He shouldn't be here. He was expelled last year, and he doesn't have any right to be at this party." At which point Ettie Lee assured her, "It's my party, and he can stay." The woman, in her anger, she grabs a hot water that's been boiling on one of those old kind of stoves, and she throws it on the boy and tells him to get out of here. Ettie Lee becomes so angry. She says to the woman, she says, his being expelled was last year's mistake that will not be repeated this year. And she said, I will get Charles back if I have to go to the Board of Trustees and if I have to go to the governor. Well, she does. So right away, you like this young girl. She's feisty. She believes she knows what's right and wrong. She eventually moves from teaching there to Thatcher, Arizona, and one of her students is Spencer W. Kimball. And years later, he told Ettie Lee, you were my first love, that you taught me reading, writing, arithmetic.
Ettie moved to Los Angeles and continued teaching school, and by her choice, never above the junior high level. In time, she became frustrated, angry at the living conditions, the homes that some of these boys had. So she decided to do something about it.
She goes to the library. She checks out a book called How to Make a Million in Real Estate. And she starts reading the financial part of the Los Angeles newspaper. Pretty soon, Ettie Lee buys her first home. It's a dilapidated home. She gets it fixed. She puts it up for sale. She buys another home and another home. And pretty soon she concludes, there's not enough money in homes. I need apartments. Well, she gets all of these apartments. She buys 5 different ranches. And she begins opening up what are called the Ettie Lee homes. Now, these homes are for young men, and she invites a Latter-day Saint couple to move in and to play the part of mom and dad to help these boys succeed. Now, the impressive thing about all this, there's all kinds of just wonderful stories how a policeman will call her up and say, we've just picked up this kid, he's a juvenile delinquent, but he says that you are our relative. Are you a relative of this boy? And she would go, well, I am now.
It would be this same former student, Spencer W. Kimball, who would make this telling remark about Ettie.
We need 10,000 Ettie Lees in Tokyo. He goes, we need 10,000 Ettie Lees in Macau. We need 10,000 Ettie Lees in Hong Kong. And you think, well, here's a woman that no doubt she probably had dreams of what she wanted in life. But perhaps those dreams didn't materialize, but other dreams did.
Avard Fairbanks was born in 1897 in Provo, Utah. From a very early age, he was a talented artist and a sculptor.
You can't hardly visit one of the visitor centers for the major church sites without seeing some of his work. He has done just sculptures that have appeared everywhere. In fact, if you go in the Brigham Young University Library, there are several relief sculptures that he's done from the Book of Mormon. He's also done the angel Moroni on numerous temples like Seattle and Jordan River and other temples as well.
But there is a piece of sculpture that some of you listening have seen quite a bit, perhaps even some of you daily.
He also had a time in industry and applied to Chrysler to do some artwork for them. They liked some of his early work. He designed some mermaids that went on the front of some vehicles. And so they gave him a hard one. They said, we're coming up with a Dodge truck, and we're looking for a mascot. And so he thought, and he thought, and he thought, and he said, well, the thing that, when I think about dodging, he said, if a ram were to run at me, I would dodge. I think it should be the Dodge Ram, and it was Brother Fairbanks that designed the Ram logo for the now ubiquitous Dodge Ram.
His art endures well beyond his lifetime.
He had a career that spanned 80 years and just left a really wonderful legacy of art, religious and political as well as commercial, for American citizens. He also has 3 states. The statues in Statuary Hall in the U.S. Capitol building were sculpted by him. As far as church visitor centers, he sculpted the 3 Witnesses, the tragedy at Winter Quarters, the restoration of the Aaronic priesthood, the angel Moroni.
Arnold Friberg was born in 1913 and raised in Arizona. Again, from an early age, he displayed talents of an artist, and as time went on, his talent and contribution increased.
And he truly did accomplish much with his incredible talent. The one thing that Latter-day Saints are probably most familiar with are 12 Book of Mormon scenes that he produced for the primary. From that, he also was contacted by Cecil B. DeMille, who was the producer of the 10 Commandments movie. And for his work on that movie, he actually received an Academy Award nomination for costume design.
For all that Arnold gave the church, he created another image that helped define Americana.
In 1975, the year before the bicentennial, Arnold was at a university campus in Arizona. He walked past some co-eds who were talking about George Washington. They were mocking him and being very derogatory. Arnold was just devastated and decided at that point that he would do something to reinstate George Washington's reputation. And what he did was he painted George Washington at Valley Forge, praying. When Americans think of that painting of the prayer at Valley Forge, they not only think of George Washington as that wonderful founding father, they also think of the spiritual roots that established the Constitution of the United States. And Arnold Friberg, in doing that painting, reminded Americans of who really helped establish this nation.
Ezra Taft Benson was a prophet of God, and some would say that's enough. But there were 2 moments in his life that contributed to the destiny of America. The first came when he was the Secretary of Agriculture under Dwight D. Eisenhower.
I couldn't tell you who the Secretary of Agriculture is. I have no idea. I don't think most people do. But when Ezra Taft Benson in the 1950s was the Secretary of Agriculture, everyone knew. Everyone had an opinion. He was a lightning rod. He was on media. He was on the front of Times. He was on the front of U.S. World News Report. Everyone had an opinion on Ezra Taft Benson. He was the most controversial member of Dwight D. Eisenhower's cabinet. When prices went up, people applauded him and praised him. When they went down, they demanded his resignation. One of the main problems of the time was that farms had great surpluses. The government was actually paying farmers not to produce. Ezra Taft Benson felt that was socialism. He was totally against it. Instead of paying farmers not to produce, what was his idea? Let's have America feed the world. And that's what he did. He went on so many international trips and supported American farmers and literally changed the farm industry in America for the rest that still is seen today. During his last year, he brought in $1.8 billion. In 1950s? That's a lot of money.
It was while he was still serving as Secretary of Agriculture that another moment occurred that would define the future for him and America.
As Secretary of Agriculture, President Eisenhower asked Ezra Taft Benson to be the host for Nikita Khrushchev, the Prime Minister of the Soviet Union, who wanted to come to America and see why American agriculture was so successful. President Benson was not excited about hosting Nikita Khrushchev, but he did it. During the visit, Prime Minister Khrushchev turned to President Benson and said something that had such gall and such pride and such vanity. As we talked face to face, he, Khrushchev, indicated that my grandchildren would live under communism. After assuring him that I expected to do all in my power to assure that he and all other grandchildren would live under freedom, he arrogantly declared in substance, "You Americans are so gullible. No, you won't accept communism outright. But we'll keep feeding you small doses of socialism until you'll finally wake up and find you already have communism. We won't have to fight you. We'll so weaken your economy until you fall like overripe fruit into our hands." From that moment on, President Benson did all he could to prove Khrushchev wrong. In all of his talks in General Conference, 60% of them have a political overtone, and most of them are decrying communism and socialism. Before he became president of the church, he spoke about it hundreds of times. Nor do I think it's coincidence that the Soviet Union dissolved during his time as a prophet. I believe the Lord honored his prophet, and that President Benson had a great deal with the demise of communism.
Ivy Baker Priest was born in 1905 in Paiute County, Utah, and went on to become the Treasurer of the United States under 2 presidents. How did that happen?
When she's a young girl, she's living in one of these mining towns. Her mom's doing the same thing, taking in boarders. And the mother is now loudly complaining that the men, when they come in from the mine, they have mud all over their shoes. And she said, it would be so much easier because we got to make all this food if we didn't have to keep cleaning the floor. And so the mother found a man running for mayor of one of these little mining towns and said to him, "I'll get everybody to support you if you promise you'll put in a boardwalk." And the mother took Ivy along with her. And Ivy said, going on that, knocking door to door, telling people how great their candidate would be, she said, at 11, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into politics. She's now contacted him and said, I'll get you the women's vote. And so she does. She's just relentless. She's flying from state to state. She's moving on it. She moves very fast. And finally, Eisenhower is elected. And she describes that he's in a hotel in New York City, and he calls her to come in and to see him. And he announces to her, I'd like you to be the treasurer of the United States. And she said, well, of course I accept. She says, but I've never dreamed that I'd have a chance to do this. And Eisenhower said, I've never dreamed I'd have a chance to be president. So you get the two maybe unlikelies. You'd say, how does she put her name on the map? Well, one, her name goes on every bill, the dollar bills that go out. But the kind of her signature piece is she never went outside the house without wearing a hat. And in her hat, she would stuff dollar bills. And so when you saw her coming, you always knew that she was the treasurer, because she wanted to wear it and be visible. After serving 2 terms in the United States as treasurer, she moved to California. Her husband had died. She was beside herself. And she met Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan said, hey, would you like to be my treasurer? And so she served with him. And a year after that service, then she died.
Calvin Smith was born in 1890, the son of President Joseph F. Smith. As a young man, he distinguished himself in 2 ways. The first was as a missionary in Germany, and the second came with the outbreak of World War I.
The United States Army offers to the church the opportunity to send 3 Latter-day Saint chaplains on active duty in World War I. So the first presidency, led by President Joseph S. Smith, meet, and they decide on 3 Latter-day Saints who will serve as the first chaplains. One is Brigham Henry Roberts, a member of the 70. One is Herbert B. Ma, who will later become governor of Utah. And the third is Calvin S. Smith, son of Joseph F. Smith, because President Smith said, "I cannot ask other families to do what I am not willing to do myself." He reaches France, and of the 3 chaplains, it's Calvin Smith that sees the most military service and wartime. He actually, as a chaplain, doesn't carry a weapon, of course, but he says, "I can't ask the men to do what I'm not willing to do." And so he goes over the top, as they called it, leaving the trench, the safety of the trenches, running out into no man's land, approaching and attacking the Germans, except he's unarmed. He's also wounded twice. He's up on the front lines. He's serving as a stretcher bearer, carrying wounded soldiers, and as they're having an artillery barrage, he's in a foxhole with another soldier when shrapnel just lacerates his backside and leg. He should have actually probably been evacuated to a hospital, but he doesn't. He doesn't leave. He stays all night and carries other men to safety. He gets treated. He receives 2 Purple Hearts, which is pretty rare for a chaplain because they're normally not in the thick of things. But soldiers are writing home about this amazing chaplain they have, and so there are articles published in the Salt Lake Tribune and Salt Lake Deseret News, and they quickly tag him as Utah's fighting chaplain. And that tag carries through his entire life. He's one of the few Latter-day Saint chaplains to serve, but he's also one of the few chaplains to serve in World War I that I'm aware of who receives a battlefield promotion recommendation from his commander. That's just extremely rare.
America is a promised land, still, with a great destiny yet to fulfill in the plans of the Almighty. There are many, besides those we've mentioned, who have served her well. And as they have given to this wonderful land, so should we. This is Glenn Rawson. See you next time. Available now at historyofthesaints.org. This year, we celebrate 250 years since the Declaration of Independence. Have you ever wondered in the course of our nation's history how many Latter-day Saints have played a significant part in serving our nation? Announcing the Spirit of 76, Latter-day Saints who shaped America, a new book written by Susan Easton